Hi everybody and welcome and thanks for dropping by at LifePath Fitness. Today we're going to talk about downward facing dog. So this is a pose that although can be a great relaxing restorative pose once you're able to achieve it, it's great. But I know for many of you this is a very hard pose to achieve, especially for people who have wrist issues or just lack upper arm strength, tightness in the hamstrings or calves. So what I want to do today is I just want to go through some things that you can do so that you can keep working on it. And the more you work on it, of course, with anything, the better you become. So today we're going to use two props. We're going to use a chair and we're going to use blocks. Blocks are especially good for people who have wrist issues, arthritis or anything like that. And so it's a way to do it. For those of you that just don't have a lot of the upper body strength to hold your body at an upside down V like that, or that have really tight hamstrings, you can start in a chair. So we're going to use chairs and blocks today. So first I'm going to walk you through downward dog and what it looks like. And then I'm going to walk through using the different props as well. Okay, so here we go. So in downward facing dog, there are many ways, of course, to get into it. But for you, if you want to practice downward facing dog, a great way to begin is to begin in what I call tabletop or your box position. And this position is with your knees directly up underneath your hips. We're going to have your toes tucked. Your hands are going to be directly up underneath your shoulders or slightly in front of them. Not a lot, but they can be slightly out in front. Okay? Now from there, we're going to take an inhale in. And on your exhale, we're going to lift your knees and then you lift your hips back behind you. So for many of you, you can't straighten your legs. So what you can do is keep them bent to begin with. What's important here is to actively push your palms into the earth and push each knuckle of your fingers. So you want to make sure that you're using your whole palm to push with. Your ears should end up in between your upper arms. So you want to think of lifting your sit bones or your tailbone high. Push your chest towards your thighs. You're looking between your feet. As you get more flexibility in your hamstrings, you're able to lower those heels down, press down actively into those heels, and really sit back into the pose. By pushing all of your knuckles into the floor, you take a lot of pressure out of the heel of the hand, which is where a lot of people hurt. Now, we don't want to dip the chest to the floor. You want to make sure that your spine is straight and that you're reaching towards your thighs instead of the floor. And then the legs, of course, should be engaged. So that means thighs are tightened and lifted, actively pushing back into your heels. Down dog. Okay, to come back out of it, just drop to your knees. So in the beginning, you may be going back and forth. A great restorative posture after you've been doing that is to just sit back and you're in child pose. Just lower your head down and relax. Just give your arms a break. And then you just come right back up into it, so you're in perfect posture again, to lift back up into it. Now, for those of you I talked about, a lot of times your wrist hurt. So one thing that's good to use are blocks. So your blocks can just be laid out in front of you. This will lift you a little bit. And instead of having all the pressure on your hand, instead we're going to lay the forearms out onto the blocks. So we're going to start in that same position, but instead of having the hands down, we're going to have the forearms on the blocks. Okay? Now from there, you're just going to lift your knees up and you will actively push back again. So again, your knees may be bent here, but you're still aiming to sit back, through your forearms so that your ears get a little bit closer to your biceps. They won't be right on them like they would be if your hands were on the floor, but it's close. You could even, if you've got flexibility in the hamstrings and calves, you'll be able to plant and still push back and through. Same technique. Okay? So that's an excellent way for you to get the benefits of strengthening the legs, good shoulder posture, but not have all that weight on the wrist. Now let's talk about using the chair. So a lot of times in the beginning, we just don't have the strength to be able to support and push with the upper body, sitting your hips back. So, and a lot of times people can't get down on their knees. So a chair is a great option for everybody. All right, so from the chair, we will just stand. And again, we're kind of going on to the forearms with the chair as well. So I would stay standing back 1.5 feet or something like that from your chair. You're going to fold over, just as if you're doing your forward fold. You're going to place your hands on top of your chair. From there, I would walk your feet back, adjusting, and then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to push, lifting your tailbone up, and you can start at this position. Nice and slowly learning to stretch those hamstrings. Because for a lot of you, they're so tight. If we get much more than a 90 degree the way we are, you just can't push back. So this would be a great starting position for you. Having your elbows in line with your shoulders and palms down on the chair, pushing your shoulder blades down your back, helps you also to learn and exercise the muscles to stabilize your back. As you get better, you might be able to step that back more and start pushing back up into that. Now we'll get more of that downward dog. Ears between the biceps, head is almost to the chair. So I hope that that helps you. Downward dog is a wonderful pose. It is an inversion. So inversions are just, like your shoulders stand, head stand. So downward dog is a great position for those of you that aren't able to achieve that or for medical reasons don't want to be doing that. This provides a safer way, but still gives us the health benefits of the inversion. So the inversions are great because it allows blood to circulate up into our brain. But you also want to, of course, medically take care. Those of you with heart issues, doing inversions are something that you need to check with and make sure that a doctor is okay with you doing those. So I hope that helps. Practice using some different methods. If you don't have blocks, a good solid book would be okay to start out with, but they're fairly inexpensive. You can find them in all different places. So I encourage you, if you're wanting to really learn and do a yoga practice at home, a mat, some blocks and a strap are an awesome thing to have. Most of us have a chair, and so any chair will work for you as long as it's normal chair height and it's nice and sturdy. I recommend putting the chair up against the wall, turning your mat that way so that it's always nice and firmly positioned up against a safe surface. Thanks for coming. Practice your downward dog. Keep experimenting with different ways that you can do. If you have any issues at all with wrist or just with tight hamstrings and want some more help, please use the comment section and I will be glad to answer you back. Thanks for coming. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.